Stand still, don't get into dreams tonight. Turn the pages, hit the light.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're locked in on Attack on Titan. This anime series, well, it's become a massive global talking point. Whether you've devoured every single episode or maybe you're just hearing about it now, we're going to give you the sort of concentrated essence of why this story has resonated so powerfully with so many people.
Yeah, and our main source for this deep dive is a really detailed script from Otaku Talks. They're, a platform that really digs deep into Japanese anime and manga culture. They aim for those insights that go way beyond just the surface level stuff.
Exactly. So our mission today isn't just to list off the big fights in Attack on Titan. We want to unpack the core stuff, the things that made it such a cultural phenomenon.
Right.
We're talking about the mysteries that keep you guessing, the really intense emotional journeys the characters go on, and honestly, some genuinely challenging ideas it throws at you. Okay, so where do we even start with this behemoth of a series?
Well, okay, at its core, Attack on Titan started as a dark fantasy manga by Hajime Isayama. It had a pretty amazing run, serialized in Basatsu Shonen magazine. That's a popular monthly manga mag, kind of aimed at younger guys, mostly from 2009 all the way to 2021.
Wow, over a decade.
Yeah, that long run alone kind of tells you something about its staying power,
Absolutely. And look, while the manga was definitely a hit, it was really that 2013 anime adaptation that just set the world on fire, didn't it?
Oh, completely. The Otaku Talks script points out it wasn't just grabbing the usual anime crowd. It became a genuine cultural thing in Japan, for everybody. People who didn't normally watch anime were tuning in.
That's always the sign of something special.
And what's also cool is how the anime itself evolved. The first 3 seasons were animated by WIT Studio, just masterfully done.
Incredible animation.
Yeah, and then MPA took over for the final season, the big finale. And, both studios got massive praise for the visuals, the direction, and oh man, that music.
That score is something else. Really hits you.
It really does. Amplifies everything.
And for anyone listening who's thinking, okay, maybe I should check this out, it's super easy to find globally, right?
Yeah, totally accessible. It's on all the big streaming platforms, Netflix, Crunchyroll, Hulu, you name it, and translated into over 30 languages.
That kind of reach, it just speaks volumes about how much it connects with people everywhere.
It really does. And the Otaku Talks script also dug up some pretty interesting behind-the-scenes bits, little nuggets that add, another layer.
Ooh, okay, I'm curious now. Go on.
Well, for instance, it might surprise you, Isayama apparently first thought about making Attack on Titan a comedy manga.
No way, a comedy. That's wild. So different from what we got.
Right, a total 180. And also, those amazing detailed cities inside the walls?
Yeah.
They weren't just made up. They were actually inspired by a real town in Germany called Nördlingen.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Nerdly. That's fascinating. So a real place kind of contained sparked this whole fictional walled world.
Kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it, if that real world sense of confinement maybe subconsciously fed into the story's themes.
It has to have, right? Wow. What else did Otaku Talks find?
Well, the secrecy around the manga's final chapter was apparently next level. Only the editorial team knew the ending.
Ooh.
Yeah, which just shows you the insane amount of anticipation and pressure surrounding how it would all wrap up.
I can only imagine.
And on a more personal note, apparently the voice actor for Eren, Yuki Kaji, he got so deep into the role that he apparently had emotional breakdowns during recording sessions. Just shows how raw and intense that character and the whole story really is.
Wow. That kind of commitment, you can feel it in the performance. It really underlines the emotional weight. Any other little gems?
One more fun one, Levi's obsession with cleanliness.
He's always cleaning.
Yeah, well, that's supposedly a reflection of Isayama's own perfectionism. It's those little character things. Sometimes they give you a little window into the creator's head,
Huh. Interesting. Okay, so we've got all this rich background. Now, for anyone listening who's maybe managed to dodge the Titan hype somehow, what's the basic story? Trying to keep it spoiler-free, of course.
Okay, right. So picture this. A world where humanity is basically on the point, nearly wiped out, and they're threatened by these huge humanoid creatures. They call them titans.
And they eat people, right? That's the terrifying part.
Basically, man-eating giants. So for survival, what's left of humanity has built these absolutely massive cities protected by concentric walls, colossal walls, and this has been their life for about 100 years.
A century behind walls. Must feel safe, but maybe stagnant.
Yeah, a century of, let's say, relative peace. But it's fragile, and that peace gets completely shattered. Suddenly this colossal titan appears, way bigger than any they've ever seen before.
And breaks the wall.
Breaches the outermost wall, yeah. And suddenly their whole sheltered world is thrown into absolute chaos, pure terror.
And this is where our main guy, Eren Yeager, comes in.
Exactly. Eren's a young kid living inside the walls, and he has this burning desire to see the world outside. He hates being cooped up.
That classic desire for freedom.
And then that desire gets amplified by something truly horrific. He watches, helpless, as his own mother is brutally killed by a titan.
Oh, man. That's devastating.
Yeah. And that trauma, that loss, it fuels this intense vow he makes to get revenge, to wipe out every single titan.
Okay, that's some serious motivation right there. So how does he act on that? He can't just go out there alone.
No, he enlists. Along with his childhood friends, Mikasa and Armin, they join the Scout Regiment.
Scouts.
Yeah.
They're the ones who actually go outside the walls, right?
Yeah.
The really dangerous job.
That's them. The tip of the spear, basically. Taking the fight to the Titans, trying to reclaim territory, figure out what's going on. It's grim, necessary work.
Sounds incredibly risky.
Yeah.
So, okay, the initial setup is clear. Humans fighting these monsters for survival. But the Otaku Talk script suggests it gets way more complicated than that pretty fast. It starts raising some big questions.
Oh, almost immediately. You start looking at the Titans themselves and thinking, why? Why do they only eat humans? What's that about? And why do some of them seem intelligent, while others are just mindless?
Right, that difference is key.
And then there are the walls themselves, these huge things that have defined their whole world for a century. Like, who actually built them, how, what secrets are, like, literally built into them, their purpose.
And the royal family, too, right? There's something going on there.
Definitely. The government, the royal family, inside the innermost wall. Yeah. What do they know? What are they hiding?
So it shifts from just a survival story to this massive puzzle. Lots of mysteries unfolding. The script also mentioned Eren himself changes a lot.
Oh, massively. Eren's character arc is honestly one of the most talked about things in the whole series.
Yeah.
His beliefs, his motivations, they shift in really dramatic, sometimes unsettling ways as the story goes on. And understanding why he changes becomes like a huge part of figuring out the bigger picture. And then you also learn about the Ackerman clan. Mikasa and Levi are both Ackermans. They have these unique abilities, connections to the rulers. More mystery.
And running through all this, you mentioned freedom earlier. That seems like a really central theme, but maybe not just in the obvious way.
Not at all. It's not just about getting outside the walls. The series constantly asks, what does freedom even mean? Who gets to decide what it is? What are people willing to sacrifice for it?
And maybe, what's the real cost?
Exactly. What's the true cost of achieving freedom? These layers, these questions, that's what takes Attack on Titan beyond just, cool action sequences. It makes you think.
Right, okay. So we've got the setup, the main players, these really intriguing mysteries bubbling underneath. Let's zoom in on those main characters for a sec. The script pulls out some iconic lines that really capture their essence, starting with Eren's big one.
Because I was born into this world. What's the power behind that? That line, it's so raw, isn't it? It's like this primal scream for his right to just be, to exist, to experience everything, not just live trapped in fear.
It's a rejection of their confinement.
Totally. It's about self-determination, demanding meaning just by virtue of being alive in that world. That's a revolutionary idea almost.
Yeah, it really is a gut punch.
Yeah.
Okay, then Mikasa. Her line is much quieter, but maybe just as intense. Eren is calling me. Says so much with so little.
It perfectly sums up her world, doesn't it? Her absolute loyalty, that deep, deep emotional bond she has with Eren. He's her anchor.
He's her everything almost.
Pretty much. It shows how that connection drives her, shapes everything she does. In such a brutal world, that bond is, well, it's everything to her.
And then Armin. He's not the fighter, but his quote is, "I believe in my friends." The script highlights his strength isn't physical.
Exactly. Armin's power is his brain, his strategy, and this unwavering faith he has in the people around him, in Eren and Mikasa especially.
So it's about hope.
Yeah, hope, trust, strategy. The power of believing in each other when you're facing, giant monsters and impossible odds. It's crucial.
Okay, now Levi. Make the choice you won't regret.
Yeah.
That sounds like someone who's had to make a lot of hard calls.
Oh, absolutely. Levi is complex, Very stoic on the surface, but that line, which he often says when things are really tough,
Yeah.
it just shows how much he understands the weight of decisions, the consequences. It's a very pragmatic view, probably born from seeing way too much, making impossible choices over and over.
Living with those choices.
Mhm.
And finally, Erwin Smith, the commander, and that rallying cry for the scouts, dedicate your hearts, Shinzu wo sasageo.
Yes. That phrase just embodies Irwin's leadership, doesn't it? That charisma, that demand for total self-sacrifice for the mission.
It's intense.
It is. It's asking for complete devotion, even knowing they're probably riding to their deaths. It's about finding meaning in that sacrifice and fighting for humanity's future, however bleak it looks.
Wow. Yeah, those quotes really do paint a picture of who they are deep down. Okay, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about the impact Attack on Titan has had. It's obviously huge, way beyond Japan.
Oh, the scale is just phenomenal. The Otaku Talk script really hammers this home. You've got millions, literally millions, of fan reactions, super detailed analyses, crazy theories being debated constantly online, YouTube, Reddit, Twitter.
The whole ecosystem.
Totally. A really passionate, engaged, global community just picking apart every single frame, every line.
It's not just fan buzz, right? It actually performs incredibly well on rating sites.
Yeah, consistently super high rankings on places like IMDb and MyAnimalist, which, those are big deals, shows both critics and the general audience really rate it. And what's really interesting, I think, is how it's broken out of just the anime fan bubble.
Yeah.
The script even mentions it being discussed academically in Europe, particularly in Germany, apparently.
Academically, like university discussions.
Seems like it. Suggesting people are looking at its themes, its story, through a much more serious, scholarly lens. It's being treated not just as entertainment, but as like a significant piece of culture.
That's pretty amazing. So it's sparking actual intellectual debate. And those quotes we talk about, they've kind of escaped the show, haven't they?
Oh, absolutely. Phrases like Shinzu wo sasageo, dedicate your hearts, or even just that simple heavy line, you are free.
Yeah.
They're everywhere now. They've become memes, sure, but also just cultural shorthand. People recognize them instantly, all over the world, online and off.
The script mentioned the final season was trending globally on Twitter when it aired. That really puts its reach into perspective.
It really does. That's a level of worldwide cultural buzz that's actually pretty rare for any show, let alone an anime. It just shows how many people from all sorts of backgrounds were completely hooked.
So, okay, when we take a step back, look at the whole thing. It's crystal clear that Attack on Titan is way, way more than just, humans versus monsters.
Precisely. It digs into these really fundamental questions, philosophical, moral questions that just connect with people deeply.
Like freedom, we mentioned that. Justice, too.
Yeah, it forces you to think about what freedom really costs. What does justice actually mean when perspectives clash so hard? And it shows that really uncomfortable truth about how cycles of violence can turn victims into perpetrators.
And the script made a great point about the characters. They're all operating in this morally gray world.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks they're fighting for justice, but their definitions are wildly different.
No easy answers, no simple good versus evil.
Which makes it feel, well, more real in a way.
Absolutely. That moral complexity, that ambiguity is probably a huge reason why it's stuck with people so much. It reflects the messy, complicated nature of our own world, right? Where things are rarely black and white.
The Otaku Talk script wrapped up by calling Attack on Titan a modern myth. And, I think that fits perfectly. It feels like a story for our times, tackling these huge, timeless human struggles.
It really does. It's one of those stories where, whether you're watching it for the first time or going back for a rewatch, you just keep finding new things, new layers, deeper meanings to think about.
So, yeah, if you haven't jumped in yet, we definitely say, give it a shot, take the plunge. And if you have seen it, maybe this chat has made you think about watching it again, perhaps with some of these ideas in mind.
Definitely worth it. And maybe here's a final thought to leave you with, something to chew on.
Okay.
In that incredibly complex, often brutal world of Attack on Titan, think about whose personal definition of justice actually resonates the most with you. Aaron's, Erwin's, someone else's. And maybe, what does that choice say about how you see right and wrong in our own complicated world?
Ooh, that's a heavy one. Definitely something to think about long after the credits roll.